In this video we're going to texture map our skateboard. The part we'll be concentrating on is the board itself. If we take a look at the UV map here, we can see that here's the board, bottom and top, and then a reference for the axles and then the wheels. We'll start by adding a new material to the entire model. Right-clicking the group, I'll choose Assign New Material. And we'll put the usual Arnold AI standard on. Next, I'll delete the history and freeze the transforms. I'll begin by selecting the board. I'll go to UVs and planar, and I'll choose Y and I'll hit apply. I'll immediately go to my channel box, and for the projection width and height, I'll make it 15. Right-clicking, going to my object mode and selecting the board, and I'll go to UV editor. And there's my board. Now it's the entire board, but I want the top to have a different texture. Right-clicking on the board, I'll choose face, I'll select the top face, and again I'll go to planar mapping, and once again I'll put in the same dimension of 15. And if I were to right-click and choose object mode and select the object, I can now right-click inside the UV editor and choose UV shell. I'll select the shell, and with my move tool I'll slide it over. So I'm looking at two surfaces, and I can see this is going to be the top of my board. Next, we'll texture the UVs for the wheels and the axle. I'll go to the UV editor, and I'll select the board. I'll right-click and choose UV shell, and I'm temporarily grabbing both of them, and I'll move them outside the main box here where the textures always come in. I'll now select each wheel and put the UV map in the Z-axis planar for each wheel. Selecting one of the wheels, I'll go to UV planar, and in the attributes, I'll change it to Z and hit apply. Make the projection width and height the same number, and I'll do that for each. I'll now shift select all the wheels, and in my UV editor, I'll right-click and choose UV shell, marqueeing all of them. I'll move them outside the box. I'll select one of the axles, and I'll use UV planar in the Z-axis again. The projection width and height the same. And I'll do the same to the other axle. I'll return to my object mode. Now that everything's UV mapped, I'm selecting all the geometry, and I'll go to my UV editor. I'll start to put everything into that quadrant that Photoshop sees. I'll right-click, choose UV shell, I'll grab the axle. I've marqueed it so I get both of them. I'll put that somewhere over here. I'll grab the wheels, and I'll put that over here. And the most prominent part of this texture is going to be on the board itself, so I'll optimize the scale of it a bit, and then I'll return to my object mode. And I'll now go and generate my UV snapshot. And all that would be needed to be done would be go to Photoshop and develop the texture.